Hello, Johnny London here once again, and you join me as I unpack my new blower motor. Here it is. This housing has got a hole there that I don't need, and here it's blanked off where I do need a hole. I knew this before ordering, and it should be pretty easy to modify. I'll give it a quick test, and as you can see, it's running just fine. And here's the old one, arguably running better, thanks to a bit of a clean-up. In the first instance, I'm going to see if I can swap the housings over, to save mucking about, thereby just using the new motor. It's just 3 screws. Though the new part doesn't seem to want to play ball. So looking at the 2 parts, there's the new part, all shiny and nice, and here's the old part all full of rust, and that's certainly what I expected to see, although of course it is still running, but I'm wondering if it's taking so much more current because it's a bit stiff and horrible, but that's what's causing the problem. Now the other possible problem is this, which is the sort of speed regulator which clips on the side of the casing there. So I'm not really going to be able to test that because it's got 4 cables going in and 2 coming out, and I don't know what those are for. So what I'm going to do is assemble it and just try it on the vehicle and see what happens. I'm also pretty sure the part I've been sold is some sort of aftermarket thing as well. It's not really quite the same. It's shinier though. The other thing is, this part doesn't have any rubber bushings here to reduce any vibrations. And the original part, well, clearly it does. Yeah, I'm not really all that happy with this replacement part. One of the pieces of plastic supposed to go in there, it's just fallen out. Another little piece of plastic has fallen out of somewhere, and you can see what they've done is they've used the wrong screws, and they've used big screws, and it's broken all the plastic. That one there is broken as well, just broken off, and the other mounting hole, I don't know what they've done there. I think they've just sort of cut a thread into it by just twisting the screw in relentlessly. But anyway, that's what I've got, so let's see what I can work with it. Oh, there's another bit falling out. Right, so I'm just testing. I've offered the new motor up. I don't know if you can see, but there's an awful lot of wobble on that. It's very poorly balanced. And the old motor, despite the fact that it's a bit rusty, runs a lot nicer. So I've tested the old motor and it does go, and I've tested the new motor and that goes. So 2 things to that. One is I haven't really found the cause of what was wrong here. I assumed it was probably the motor, ordered another motor expecting that to work and the old one not to work, and if both motors were working happily, then obviously the problem is going to be in that speed controller. Just a process of elimination, it's all you can do sometimes really. But the speed controller is obviously working because it's powering both motors quite happily. So the situation I'm in now is, do I put the old motor back in with the possibility that maybe the brushes aren't so good on it, and it might just sort of stop and get stuck in the wrong place again. Although my gut feeling is probably it'll just be all right now for whatever reason. I'm just currently putting a bit of grease, trying to work a bit of grease right down into that sort of, there's an end that's sort of a bit open, there's a gap. Or do I put the other motor in? To be honest, I can see it's not an original part, it's just some sort of cheap foreign part, and I've got to modify my housing slightly to accept it. So do I want to do that? In which case, probably a better short-term outlook for it, but you know what's going to happen sort of a bit further on down the line really. So yeah, I'm basically not all that happy. Well, in the end, and after much deliberation, I've decided to refit the original part that I took out. I've given it a good clean up with some service oil around the brushes of the motor, and I've had a look at it, all the wires, well, it's only a couple of wires, they all seem fine, and the connection to the outside world, that all seems fine. If I put this back and it doesn't work, it could be that it's got some sort of intermittent problem, and I'll have to take the whole damn thing apart again, which won't be very good. The reason I don't want to put the new part in is because it's such poor quality, the motor wobbles, it's off axis, and indeed to get it to fit into this housing, the correct housing, I would have to cut off 3 little pieces of rubber bushings that are in here that the motor sits on and screw the new motor directly onto this. Now I think putting a wobbly, unbalanced motor onto a motor housing with absolutely no bushes to cushion that vibration, that's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? This motor spins nice and smoothly and it's on its bushes. So I'm going to go now and just reassemble this all and hope for the best. And of course, as they always say, refitting is the opposite of removal. A quick squirt of switch cleaner, plug that in and fire it up. Now the reassembly begins in earnest. Seven small torque screws. I won't show them all, but you get the idea. And that's all the blower motor screws back in place, even that difficult one. Just jiggle this air duct thing back into place. That's it. And don't forget that one. Or this cover. It's taking shape nicely. Now to put the glove box itself back in. Have to remember that pipe and the light. There's a screw with a great big washer, and it must be for this thing because it's got a great big hole. The light is a faff though. And it took me 3 attempts to get the wires through for the glove compartment light. Every time I sort of put the glove box back together, the wires slipped back through and had to undo it and have another try. So I could have done with another couple of inches of wire on that there Saab. Now this bit did rather flummox me. After a couple of attempts, I finally get it the right way around. Although it's reluctant to clip back in properly. Oh, well, that's in. I mean, it'll settle down anyway. Nearly there now. And not to forget this piece, of course. Sort of the fuse thing and that. So just... there you go. And well, that's the job done for now. Not so much a replacement as a fiddle about with of the blower motor. But in any case, you've seen how to remove it, how to refit it, and also that little bit of business with the cabin polling air filter at the front and how that can sort of let water ingress in, which is the culprit for all the problems in the first place. What I shall do now is I shall use the car over the next sort of week or two, and hopefully that blow's going to work. If it doesn't, well, I've got the other one that I ordered. I'm going to hang on to him for a little bit longer, sort of last desperate attempt. If he has to go in, he'll go in, but I really don't want to fit it because it's all wobbly and cheap and nasty. I'd much rather send it back to where it came from, China preferably. But that's it from me for another thrilling episode, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye for now.